Alrighty, good evening, everyone. For the record, I'm Senator Ben Brooks, representing the 10th Legislative District in Baltimore County. We have a packed agenda tonight, so let's go ahead and get started. Before I call the first nominee, I want to strongly encourage those called upon to speak tonight to please keep your introductions and remarks brief so that we can be sure to hear from everyone who braved the snow to get here tonight. So first up on the podium will be Senator Jennings to introduce his constituent, the Secretary of Juvenile Services, Betsy Tolentino. Senator Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A quick story. Years ago, before I was in the Senate, I was in the House. I served on the, I did a term on the Judiciary Committee. And I had somebody used to come before us and testify, and it was this young woman. And kind of lost track of her, never, come over to the Senate, and was never on a committee where she would testify before me. Fast forward, almost 20 years later, I'm touring Charles Hickey, which is a youth detention center that is in my district. And I was told I would be meeting the new Secretary of Juvenile Services. Didn't know who it was yet. I think they just announced that morning, but I had not heard the news yet. Walk into a room, I turn, I look, and there she was. I'm like, my jaw dropped, her jaw dropped. I was like, congratulations. So it is my honor to stand here before you and nominate her, and I truly am here proudly to do that. As I say, I've had almost a probably 24-year experience working with her. And through that time, I've seen her on both sides where we have testified. She's testified, I've supported her views, I've opposed them, but I've gotten to work with her and I understand her views. And let's be honest, she has a big issue to deal with. That agency, I don't think was run right for the past 3 years. And I'm glad it's changed hands. And I think this is the right person to take it over. She has a serious needle that she has to thread, or is that the right way to say it? She's got to thread a needle. Yes, I always get that wrong. She has to balance, these kids that have gotten off the right track, putting them back on that right track, but also ensuring that justice is served and that, we're doing it the right way. It's tough, people always want to hear stuff, so I know that. I'm speeding up, Madam Chair, or Madam President Pro Tem. I just sincerely, as I stand here, this is the right person for the job, and I wholeheartedly endorse her. So with that, I'll turn it over to her. Sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, and members of the committee, and thank you to Senator Jennings for his kind introduction. I've truly valued our collaboration over the years, and I appreciated being to pick that right up when we toured the Charles Hickey School my first week on the job. When Governor Moore and I discussed this role, I told him it was my dream job, and I did truly mean it. And I deeply appreciate the trust and confidence he has placed in me to lead the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services at this critical moment. I'm here because I believe deeply in the potential of the young people we serve. These are young people who have made sometimes some serious mistakes, but who are still developing, still capable of change, still deserving of clear expectations, meaningful support, and adults who will not give up on them. I've had the privilege of working with many of you over the years, first at the Maryland Office of the Public Defender, and then as more than a decade at DJS, where I served as Deputy Secretary of Community Services. Most recently, I spent 3 years working for the Roca Impact Institute, where I traveled around the country, training staff in facilities and communities, and Roca's Rewire CBT model to give both youth and staff practical tools to do this work differently and more effectively. And I've been in this role now for over 7 months, and my focus has been clear. First, on rebuilding relationships. We achieve the best outcomes for youth and public safety when we work in partnership with law enforcement, the courts, community providers, and families. And to support this transparency, in early 2026, we launched a public-facing dashboard so stakeholders can clearly see who we serve and how we perform. Second, examining the front door of the system. We are closely reviewing diversion, detention, and intake decisions to ensure we're using all the tools the law provides to support youth development while protecting public safety. That includes clear expectations for youth on electronic monitoring and targeted updates to our detention decision-making to promote consistency, fairness, and accountability at intake. We are also strengthening our facilities. During my first week, I visited one of our facilities and observed conditions that were completely unacceptable and underscored urgent need for change. A comprehensive staffing review indicated that over the past 2.5 years, nearly 50 positions were moved out of the facilities, while population went up 22%. We have since returned those positions to our facilities. We've rebuilt leadership. We've provided additional training and coaching. And with strategies in place, we've reduced the use of overtime by nearly 15% in the first 7 months. None of this work happens without our frontline staff. They show up every day in our facilities and communities to manage risks, set expectations, build relationships, and support our young people through some of the most challenging moments of their lives. Rebuilding this agency means investing in our workforce, listening to their experience, and giving them the tools and training to support what they need to do this work safely, consistently, and well. I look forward to addressing both the strengths and challenges of this agency through open, honest, and sometimes uncomfortable conversations, because rebuilding trust and confidence in this work is essential if we're going to do better for the young people and communities we serve. In that work, I'm committed to leading the department with equity, fairness, and justice, holding young people accountable while assuring they have structure, support, and opportunity to change their behavior and move forward. Senators, I respectfully request your favorable consideration of my nomination, and I look forward to answering any questions.
All right, do we have any questions? Senator Smith?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'll just say, first at the outset, very impressed with not only the work you've done before you came to your current position, but in the few months you've been in your current role, you've done some fantastic things and put that agency on the right track. I think have made it ripe for new reforms and adjustments as we go forward in this legislative session. I just want to say, you know, if you have an opportunity to provide this committee with your sense of what the most challenging, immediate things that are facing your agency and the kind of the preliminary steps you've taken to address those things. And I'm squinting towards legislation that we've got pending before my committee, but also before the General Assembly. And if you could provide some context for that.
Absolutely. I think some of the most challenging things we have in front of us is how the system operates. And we want our system to operate efficiently so we can help young people get the services and interventions they need in a timely manner. The research tells us if we can intervene with young people soon after an event occurs, we're going to get the best results for our young people and for our communities. And part of that is, you know, the department is supporting legislation, your legislation, to reduce the number of offenses that result in auto charging into the adult system. And the reason why is to build that efficiency, to get the best results we can for our young people in our communities, and to ensure that we have a system that meets the needs at that time.
Appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Senator Carrozza?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam Interim Secretary. That was quite a glowing introduction from a senator that it's hard to meet that mark sometimes, so that carries a lot of weight. My question to you, first of all, thank you for the courtesy of meeting with me prior to this hearing. And I wanted to follow up on the one point we discussed. I shared with you some of my local conversations with the local school superintendent from Wicomico County, some of the challenges that he shared about that coordination could be better because they would have students, they would go into the DJS system, then they would know what happened afterwards, and he really thought there could be a better effort on coordination. You've already mentioned about improving the overall process, but could you expand a little bit more in that area with your coordination with the school systems?
Yes, and Senator Cardoza, thank you for bringing that issue to me when we're able to meet. And it is an issue, how we collaborate better, how we share information to make sure our young people that are justice involved are able to get the educational services they need, but schools are able to manage their operations safely and securely. So to that end, after our conversation, we took this issue to the Juvenile Justice Reform Council, which is a group of stakeholders. You all passed that legislation a few years ago to evaluate these types of issues where we can with all the stakeholders present. They have since developed a subcommittee to look deeply at how we can work together. We have representatives from local school systems. We've also brought in our Juvenile Services education program and our board to that conversation so we can make sure all stakeholders are looking at this issue together, and we will bring some recommendations forward within the next year.
I'll look forward to seeing those recommendations. Thank you.
Senator McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam Acting Secretary. I just want to lean in and say thank you. I've been able to tour a number of your different facilities in reference to the partnership and understanding some of the strengths and the challenges. One of the things that I would just like to say is that I hope that you will ardently advocate for those young people that need us the most, especially as our budgets tighten up. I hope that from a staffing standpoint, making sure that we're thoughtful about what do the facilities look like at these specific spaces and leading in that advocacy. And then I think about like, when I heard my colleague talking about the auto charge, and I appreciate you sharing your position, but more importantly, I try my best to share with our young people that they are the 5 people that they keep the most company of. And what happens is when a young person does enter in that adult facility, even if they're dropped down, and majority are dropped down, the damage has already been done. And one of the things that I also think about is that we're going to have to make the investment no matter whether we like it or not. We can make it on the front end or we can make it on the back end, but it is going to happen. But just please, please, please continue to advocate for those young folks that need it the most. I get that other people have bigger microphones. They're creating a narrative from that standpoint. But a lot of times, that narrative that's created is budgetary issues. It's not like the folks are always getting the services that they're needed, but they want to blame the system. Thank you again.
No, absolutely. And thank you, Senator, for coming to our facilities, talking to our young people. I know they deeply appreciate it. And I agree. We have to talk about our young people. We have to get them connected to what they need. And I'm here to do that every single day.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, all right. All right, our next nominee will be the Secretary of Transportation, Department of Transportation. That's Karen Thompson, and Senator Henson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, colleagues. I'm Senator Shanika Henson, here to present your nominee for the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. Catherine Katie Thompson, if you see her resume, I'm sure you'll all be very, very impressed at her extensive background in transportation. She served as the Chief Operating Officer for the Federal Aviation Administration. She's additionally served in the U.S. Department of Transportation. She's also served working for Amazon and a number of companies that really show the wealth of experience that we have in our acting Secretary of the Department of Transportation. And she also is a proud constituent of Legislative District 30. So with that, I will introduce to you all Catherine Thompson. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, and members of the committee. It's an honor to be Governor Moore's nominee to serve as Secretary of Transportation for Maryland. And I want to thank Senator Henson for her kind introduction. As a resident of her district, I appreciate the hard work that she does every day for our community. I also want to recognize 2 very special people in the room tonight. My husband, Chris Liu, and my friend and former colleague and an outstanding former Secretary of Transportation for Maryland, Mr. John Picari. Chris and John are 2 of the most effective and dedicated public servants that I have ever known, and they inspire me to bring my best to my job every single day. To me, transportation is about connections, opportunity, and prosperity for all. It's about strengthening communities and improving lives, from the smallest rural communities to the most densely populated areas of Maryland. I deeply understand this from my personal experience. I was born and raised in a small rural town in Illinois. I have also lived in large urban areas on both the East and West Coast. Throughout my life, I've experienced both good and bad transportation systems. I also have more than 30 years of transportation experience in government and the private sector across all modes of transportation. My personal and professional experiences position me well to deliver positive and lasting impacts for all Marylanders. I would be honored to have your support for my confirmation. Thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Oh, right, Senator McCray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Acting Secretary, first, it's just a great opportunity to be able to sit down with you thus far prior to this, but I'd just like to get your comments on a couple things. In my opinion, I think that the Baltimore Region transit system has always been like an afterthought or a second child. If you could just comment on the Be More bus plan and your thoughts about it. And the second question will be around Easy Pass, MDTA. I think that I didn't realize about what they call unused trips. So just being able to get your thoughts on unused trips. And I think that many Marylanders may be in the same situation that I've been in around this unused trips concept. And if we could just get your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. I appreciated the time to sit down with you last week. On the Be More bus plan, I will say Maryland deserves top-notch transit services, all aspects of, Baltimore, all aspects of the city. We're very excited to have a down payment on the Be More bus plan. It is not as much as we would like, but it will help us begin to access and explore and begin to have communications across the community about how we build that out and how we get the funding that we need to make that a success for the community. So I look forward to having further conversations with you about that. On the Easy Pass, that's another issue that you and I discussed. And the first thing that I did after we met was go back and call the head of MDTA to get a briefing on how we set tolls, and in particular, how we can ensure what steps we can take to ensure that we're not charging people for services that they do not use. So that brief is set up for later this week, and I look forward to getting back to you. Thanks.
Okay. Senator Reedy.
Thank you for being here, and I know we were going to connect here shortly about a couple of specific items. Just to, if I could ask two questions. First is, we've talked a lot in the General Assembly and in the state about the Transportation Trust Fund. And it's interesting, you just mentioned tolls. I represent a district that has a lot of commuters, a lot of people that depend on cars, driving. And we've tried before to try to figure out a way to do more equitable and fair. We have an automatic gas tax increase every year that goes up at the rate of consumer price index. And what we've often find when it comes to transportation planning is that the roads that are really the lifeline for economic development for the areas I represent, like US 15 in Frederick County, 27, 140, 32, major routes in Route 30 in my area. Sometimes it feels like it's a bit of an afterthought. And so I just wonder if you could talk about the long-range plan for capacity on roadways and how we could get to more of a fair situation with how we fund our transportation trust fund, because every time we've had a doubling of car registration fees and taxes, we've had creation of new fees and taxes on vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems to fall on the drivers all the time, but a large percentage of the trust fund doesn't go to roads and bridges. So I just don't know if you could comment on that philosophically, how we could do better, how it could be sure that areas of our state know that they're not forgotten.
Sure, thank you for your question. I think I recognize that funding for transportation across the state is very challenging, and I want to thank the General Assembly for the work that you did to increase the budget in the prior 2 years. Going forward, I think we need to have a lot of tough conversations because the needs across the state are very diverse. The constituency across the state is very diverse. We should be able to deliver transportation solutions that provide the kinds of services that communities need where they live. So in some parts of the state, as you mentioned, it will be roads. Other parts of the state will be more predominantly reliant on transportation. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us to have the hard discussions with those of you in the room, the General Assembly, the Governor's Office, and our constituents to figure out how we're going to have a sustainable, scalable, safe, and efficient system for the future.
I appreciate that. A big concern that I have is just that a lot of the big picture futuristic designs about transit and transportation, there's just always a desire to put more and more of the burden on the driver, on the car drivers. And so I just am very concerned about that. I appreciate your answer and response to that conversation. And then secondly, and I'll probably talk the specifics to you offline, I also do have people in my district that commute in and use light rail and use Metro in Baltimore. And there's been concerns about the new cars that have been procured over the last few years, massive contract, but it seems like every time they put a new car on the track, there's been some issues. There's been problems with it. So I don't know if you have been briefed on that or if that's just anecdotal, but I don't know if it's just something to flag and see if you had seen anything about that.
I have, and I will say the new cars are new to the system, so they're going through a period of shakedown. We would like there to be zero problems, but the very purpose of putting them in, on the rails and putting them into operation and testing them is to do that shakedown period and work through issues and ensure they can be moved into full-time service. So I am aware of it. We are on top of it and be happy to brief you in more detail.
It's not something that was unexpected, though, that you would have some of those issues.
Well, ideally, you have none of those issues, but whenever you're introducing a new product, particularly into an existing system, you sometimes have what I call shakedown issues that you identify early on, you solve for them, and you address them for the long term.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your answers. Thank you.
All right, the chair recognizes Senate President Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Thank you for the conversations that we've had to date, working on issues around the port and other related issues. So first time I've heard of the shakedown issue, so I think we're probably gonna have to dive into that. I had not seen that anywhere, so I look forward to learning more there. I wanna go to Senator McCrae's question, and the Senate delegation wrote a letter ahead of time talking about the Be More Bus plan as an avenue. When we look sort of at the region as a whole, we have dollars in for the red line simply for planning and then zeroed out for construction. The Be More Bus plan is out there with significant potential investments, but just a few very minuscule early investments. The light rail replacement cars are a big expenditure, which is important, but we're really, barely holding by. I think there's a generalized concern that as we look towards how do people, goods, and services move within the Baltimore region, that we were hopeful that we would see a much more robust investment in a real plan and vision for the Baltimore region. It sounds like that's not what is anticipated for this year. Is that for at least how the CTP dollars are being expended?
Yeah, Mr. President, this is a challenging time, I think, for the state of Maryland and for Baltimore as well. And the CTP and the budget for this year in particular represents a balanced and we believe fair approach to investing in safety, state of good repair, and new capacity to the extent that's possible across the state. Is it as much as we would like? It isn't, going to your point. But that's where I think we all have to work very closely together to figure out what some of these long-term funding solutions would be that allow us to invest in these systems and ensure the economic competitiveness and vitality in cities like Baltimore for years to come.
Would you just say very quickly, Mr. Chair, just in following up, that when our constituents ask where are we seeing expansion of the systems, capacity enhancements in the Baltimore region in particular, the 7 counties of the Baltimore region, where would you say that exists?
Well, I'd say we're in the early phases, both for Be More Bus and for the Red Line, and we look forward to continuing conversations about Be More Bus and restarting conversations about the Red Line, which I know we've discussed, various constituencies in this room have discussed for probably a couple decades now, but we are seriously committed to finding ways to move those important projects forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Senator Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Madam Secretary, I enjoyed the time that we had a chance to spend prior to this. But one of your responses to the President's inquiry as it relates to Baltimore was that this year is balanced and fair. And I'm just curious because it caught me off guard. You had me up until that point. And if you could help me understand how you define fair, and that would be helpful for me.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Hayes. When I say that, it means that we've gone through the CTP process, both the draft document, the final document, meeting with every county and every city, and worked to determine how we could allocate scarce dollars to safety, state of good repair, and as I said, to some extent, new capacity across the state, including Baltimore. And that is reflected in the CTP and our budget for this year. As I said, we'd love to do more, but our resources are limited.
Yeah, I would just invite you to, and I know you haven't been here this long, but look at the historic investments that we've made in Maryland's largest city. There's a saying that the governor often saying, our state will only do good as our greatest cities, right? And that rings true in whatever state that you're in, right? And if you look at the historic disinvestments that's happened in Baltimore, where the majority of our transit riders probably congregate here in the state of Maryland, and look at it across the board and see where we've made investments and where we have room for improvement and innovation, I think one would question the idealness, and your assessment of fairness in this category.
I appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, Madam Secretary. Okay, our next nominee would be Sean Schaefer, the State Commission of Real Estate Appraisers, and Senator Jennings. Senator Jennings? Oh, okay. All righty, all right, we'll move right along. Our next nominee is Dr. Katina McQueen. That's for Accountability and Implementation Board. Senator Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, distinguished members of the committee. I'm here today to introduce you to Dr. Quick McQueen. And one thing, we're going to talk about the AIB, and sometimes when we're talking, especially from my side of the aisle, I don't know that people are always listening. But I would appreciate the fact that we listened, because when we created the AIB, there was not a single person from a rural district, right? There was nobody from St. Mary's County. And I am very appreciative to be here, to be able to introduce you to somebody that's been nominated for this role. She has 29 years of experience in public education. She's a principal in both elementary and high school. She's highly qualified, and I ask for your favorable endorsement of Dr. Quick McQueen.
Good evening, Senator Brooks, Senator Muse, Senator Ferguson, and committee members. And thank you to Senator Bailey for that kind introduction. I would also like to thank Governor Moore for this appointment, and thank you to my family and my husband, Mike, who's here this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to appear today. As stated, during my career, I have served students and families in public education for over 30 years. I have served as principal at both the elementary and secondary school levels, giving me deep understanding of where children begin and where they're headed. It also gives me authentic experience of the collective effort needed to ensure positive outcomes for students in all areas of teaching and learning. I will continue to be a voice for our children as we address challenges. For the last 6 months, I have had the honor of serving on the Accountability and Implementation Board. During this time, I have gained a deeper appreciation for the work and laser focus the board has ensuring that every child in Maryland has the skills needed to foster success in college, career, and beyond. It would be an honor to continue serving in this capacity if the committee sees fit. Thank you again for your time, and I'm open to answer any questions.
Thank you, Doc. Senator Carozza?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Dr. Quick McQueen, I want to first of all thank you for your public service and for serving specifically on the Accountability and Implementation Board. And it delights me that you're a principal by background, and I can imagine how buttoned up your school might be. Two quick questions for you, and obviously it may not come as any surprise if you've been on the board for 6 months, but there have been conversations. As a matter of fact, Chair Leggett has even publicly acknowledged that the Accountability and Implementation Board, working with the Maryland Department of Education, is going to look at that the teacher instruction time, there where we went from 80-20% to 60-40% when we have a teacher shortage, and kind of looking at what was the rationale behind that percentage. When I've asked the question in the past, the response was that's what other countries were doing. I think there's a little bit more focus with the AIB to review that and to see if there's more flexibility on that. So I want to first of all ask, for your willingness to take a look at that and to get that on the record. And two, I wanted to ask you about, again, working with the Maryland Department of Education, how do you see that the AIB working with the Maryland Department of Education can provide more local flexibility for our school systems in implementing the blueprint, especially when we have such a, tight fiscal challenges right now?
Yeah, great question. Thank you for both of those questions. Definitely, we will be taking a look at the collaborative time. I think it's important. As a school principal, that was one of the things that I pride myself in doing, making sure that my teachers had time to collaborate, because we're going to get the best student positive outcomes when that happens. As far as the flexibility and working with school systems, in my time, my 6 months on the board, I've been in the rooms with our local superintendents. I've been in the room with MSDE, their staff, and we have been collaborating at every aspect of what's happening. And we have been looking at all of the successes as well as the challenges, and we're talking together with those, and we're being flexible in the things that we're doing to help them along the way. And most importantly, we are listening, because that's what we need. We need to listen, and then we need voices coming together to come up with ways to move past what we're experiencing with the budget. Because we know that, there are always going to be budget challenges, but we need to do what is best for our children.
Thank you. And just as a follow-up and a quick clarification, I wanted to be clear, I'm not dismissing the importance of collaboration, but there's concern about that percentage, if it's realistic, and, and as I understand it, you all will be taking a look at that percentage.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Seeing none, thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, our next nominee is the University System of Maryland Board of Regents. It was Dr. Tisha Edwards. Miss Tisha Edwards. That's right, yeah. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Executive Nominations Committee, Senator Antonio Hayes representing the 40th Legislative District. Our nominee this evening should not be a stranger to any of us, as she formerly served as the Secretary for the Secretary of Appointments, and is a distinguished educator serving many, many years in the Baltimore City area as well as in other capacities. She's a phenomenal leader who brings much to the table, and I am exceptionally happy that she's been appointed to the Board of Regents. You all know with every nominee that stands before this podium, as it relates to the Board of Regents, I ask questions as it relates to our commitment to historically Black colleges and universities, as I feel that they play a unique role in the landscape of education and higher education here in our state. And so I know with great confidence that my constituent and the nominee to the Board of Regents understands this commitment, understands the uniqueness of these institutions, and will do a good job and contribute in a mighty way to our Board of Regents. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ms. Tisha Edwards.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here on this side of the podium, and I appreciate you, Chair Brooks, and Senate President Bill Ferguson, You all know me. It is a great pleasure, and I am extraordinarily humbled by the governor's decision to recommend me to the Board of Regents. This is definitely something I had to write home to my mama about. It's just amazing that I am a first-generation college graduate. I am a graduate of the University of Maryland School of Social Work and the University of Maryland School of Law, classmate with Senator Charles Sydnor. And so everyone on this committee knows how strongly I feel about higher education and what higher education did to change my life and the life of my family. So it is with great honor and privilege and humility that I come to you today to ask for your support for me to become a appointed regent for the University of Maryland. Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Oh, yes, Senator Augustine.
Yeah, we have a long day, but this is just an amazing woman, and we are just really blessed that she's going to be serving us in this way. So I just want to really, offer my support for this nomination as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Senate President.
Ditto in all the ways. I know we have a long evening, but I would be remiss if I did not say I appreciate all the work that we've done together and the work that we'll do in the future. Thank you.
Absolutely. Long way back, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, our next nominee will be Jean Bailey, the Commission on African American History and Culture, presented by Senator Smith.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of this distinguished committee. It's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you Dr. Jean Bailey for the Commission on African American History and Culture. She's the former director of the Center for Drug Abuse and Research at Howard University, former professor at Howard University, where she worked tirelessly to prevent youth from getting involved with drug abuse and to treat that as well. She's offered over 70 articles of serious scholarship. She's a recipient of over $20 million of research funds. She was educated at Southern University. She received her bachelor's there. She also has a master's from Tulane and a PhD from Tulane. She's also the president of the Sister City States for South Africa, where she most recently led a delegation that put on an exhibit in South Africa and Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center that did the parallels and similarities between apartheid and segregation here in the United States. It was a fantastic exhibit, great history. So it's my distinct honor and privilege to recommend this fantastic intellect and truly beautiful person, Dr. Jean Bailey, for this commission, and a true friend. So I'm gonna give you a hug. All right. There you go.
Thank you, Senator, my senator. President Ferguson, Chair Brooks, and members of the Maryland Senate Executive Nominations Committee. And thank you to my friend Tyrone Brown for joining me here today. I am deeply honored to accept Governor Moore's appointment to the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. As a third-generation descendant of enslaved African Americans, as a product of the Jim Crow South in Louisiana, and an active participant in the 1960s civil rights movement, I bring a profound commitment to preserving and sharing African American history with current and future generations. My life's work has been shaped by the experiences of my ancestors and my own journey, thus fueling my dedication to this cause. As Senator Smith mentioned, over the past 30 years, my professional and international work as a professor at Howard University, chair of the Howard University Republic of South Africa Project, chair of the Maryland South Africa Sister State Committee, and now currently president and CEO of the Sister States of Maryland, Inc. By the way, we're hosting a reception Wednesday. We invite all of the senators to join us downstairs in the Miller West room. I have been focused on fostering cross-cultural understanding, education, and celebrating our shared heritage. These lived experiences have given me a unique perspective on the global importance of African American history and the role Maryland plays in honoring this legacy. In my capacity as project director for the Maryland Routes of Enslaved Peoples Heritage Trail, alongside esteemed colleagues such as Dr. Joseph Harris, I have worked to shed light on the stories of the 16 ports of entry in Maryland that served as sites where enslaved Africans were forcibly brought to Maryland during the transatlantic slave trade. Through this initiative, I, along with my colleagues, strive to forge connections between African Americans in Maryland and their descendants to their heritage in African nations such as Angola, Nigeria, Ghana, and Brazil, and other countries across the African diaspora. My involvement with the Sister States of Maryland, Sister Cities International, and the UNESCO Routes of Enslaved Peoples has laid a strong foundation for building bridges between Maryland communities and their counterparts around the world. Through these partnerships and networks, I am dedicated to supporting the Commission's goals, that is, serving as the statewide clearinghouse for preserving, researching, and documenting the African American experience. It is my intention to advance educational programs, assist in developing meaningful exhibits such as our America's Voices Against Apartheid, which Senator Smith referenced, to create robust online digital archives and ensure that the legacies of African Americans in Maryland are celebrated and preserved for generations to come. Senators, I am sincerely grateful for this opportunity to work alongside fellow commission members and community partners. Together, we can honor our past, enrich our present, and inspire a more inclusive and informed future for all Marylanders. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to helping to fulfill the Commission's vital mission. Thank you.
All righty, do we have any questions? Seeing none, and Dr. Bailey, I would just like to say that your qualifications and body of work speaks for themselves, so I'm happy to support your nomination as well.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, our next nominee is for the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Cannabis Commission, Mr. Patrick Murray, and he's not here, but Senator Ferguson will be here. Oh, he is here. Okay, I'm Senator Ferguson, President Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I am doing a little stepping in to help here as we have a former 46th District member who used to live in the 46th District. So as a 46th District emeritus resident, I'm here to strongly endorse Patrick Murray for his appointment to the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Cannabis Commission. We all have known him very well from his former time in the Senate President's office to working for local government in Baltimore County and now Frederick County, and has been a great partner on so many different fronts, understands that delicate balance between regulations for businesses and protecting communities. And so without further ado, strongly endorse Patrick Murray for this position.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I will take to heart the advice that we be brief and just say that it is an honor to be nominated, and I appreciate the committee's consideration. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you may have this evening.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? It's a great testimony. Seeing none?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again, Mr. President.
Yes. Yeah. Our next nominee is Brian Buckley for the Maryland Commission on Health Resources Commission. He is, well, I will be introducing him for Senator Gazzoni. I am pleased to recommend Dr. Brian Buckley to serve on the Community Health Resources Commission. He works as a head of public health and community impact at Care First and is an adjunct associated professor at Georgetown University, where he teaches, he coaches, and supervises graduate students in community partnership and change management. Additionally, he has experience with a number of organizations, including the American Public Health Association, the National Board of Creating Healthier Communities, the American Heart Association, Greater Washington Region, and Food and Friends. Dr. Buckley will bring an informed perspective to the commission. Thank you for your consideration. Go ahead, Dr. Buckley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Senate President, and members of the Nominations Committee, and thank you for Senator Gazzini for the wonderful remarks there. Also in the effort of trying to be brief as well, I just want to say just thank you to Governor Westmore for the nomination. And I've spent the past 15 plus years of my life really dedicated to improving the health well-being of where people live, work, and play, and look forward to working on the Community Health Resource Commission to really excel their mission, and believe my background training definitely adds to that value and working with amazing people on the commission. With that, I hope for your support, and thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you, Dr. Buckley.
Thank you.
Okay, our next nominee is Elizabeth Shoemaker, Corrections Training Commission. Senator McKay will do the introduction.
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, members of the committee, Senator Mike McKay, very, very proud to lift the nomination of Lieutenant Elizabeth Shoemaker for the Director of Operations. She happens to be Director of Operations at the Allegheny County Detention Center, and she is being nominated for the Correctional Training Commission. She has over 30 years collaborative experience. She is a Frostburg State graduate in criminal justice concentration. And a fun fact, she graduated from Leadership Allegheny in 2020, 20 years after I did. So without further ado, I present Ms. Elizabeth Ann Shoemaker for Correctional Training Commission and recommend her nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator McKay, for the introduction. Chairman Brooks, President Ferguson, I'll keep it brief also. I've had over 30 years, close to 35 years of correctional experience. I've seen the face of corrections change greatly since my first day as that young correctional officer on the floor, scared to death what to do. And I've held many hats. In a small agency, you have to work many jobs. You have to collaborate with every agency to get done what you need to have done. I appreciate the nomination for the Training Commission. Recently, our agency started its own academy accredited by the Training Commission. It made me see a greater importance of the need to properly train our young people coming in, and trust me, they're very young, coming into corrections, because the face of the incarcerated individual has changed, so we have to evolve with that, plus make sure everybody's remaining within the standards and the expectations of the Training Commission. So thank you for your support, and I appreciate the nomination.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Our next nominee, Criminal Injuries Compensation Board, Mr. John Marshall, Senator Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, for the record, Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Last time I was here, it was to introduce a friend and someone I worked with and served with. One of the cool things about executive nominations is sometimes we get to meet and know a little bit about constituents that we don't already know. And that's the case here with John Marshall. What a wonderful background he has. In addition to being a career attorney, he has been active in our community in all these good guy causes, from House of Ruth to Manna Food Pantry to working with the Homeless Persons Project, with his church, and so much more. I think it's awfully impressive. Sadly, he told me that one of the cases he had was about a triple murder, and it was 1993. So I remembered so many details about it just from following it in the paper. And he was the attorney, and so he has a passion and an understanding for victims of crime, which make him a great fit here for community service and for understanding the issue. I want to flag for you colleagues that he is proposing to fill the remainder of a 5-year term, and there are 4.5 months left. So I have checked with Secretary Byron, and assuming that he passes muster and he is approved, presumably he would roll into all or either part or hopefully all of a new 5-year term. So with that, I am delighted to present to you my constituent, John Marshall.
Thank you, Senator Kagan, for that nice introduction. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of the committee, I will be brief as well. She's already hit all the highlights anyway, so if there's any questions, I am honored to be on this board. I've been serving for 6 months, and as long as my age will allow me to fulfill another 5 years, I'd be thrilled to be able to do that. If there's any questions.
Do we have oaths? Yes. Senator Smith.
He's an attorney. His name's John Marshall. You know, 4th Chief Justice of the United States. I'm loving this.
That's
pretty
a curse.
Cool. I know. I went to William and Mary, so I'm just kind of like I'm digging that. The namesake is there, but all right. Anyway, I had to say that.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Also, my name's Will Smith,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Our next nominee for Criminal Justice Compensation Board, Ms. Greta Willis, and being introduced by Senator Hayes.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Executive Nominations Committee. I'm Senator Antonio Hayes from the 40th Legislative District. For the record, I'm here to enthusiastically support the nomination of Ms. Greta Willis. She is an activist extraordinaire, ordained minister, and in 2024, she worked on historic legislation to restructure and to reform this board. Please, colleagues, join me in the support for Ms. Greta Willis to this lovely commission. Thank you.
Greetings. I am truly blessed to be here. To Senate Executive Nomination Committee Board Chair, Mr. Benjamin Brooks, Vice Chair, Mr. C. Anthony Muse, and my district, Senator Antonio Hayes, and Senate President, Mr. Bill Ferguson, and all the distinguished members of this committee. My name is Reverend Dr. Greta Willis. I'm a lifelong resident of Baltimore City, a wife, a mother, grandmother, sister, president of the Mount Olivet Community Association, an elder advocate of social equality on police reform and victims of crime, motivational speaker, and community outreach leader. I would like to acknowledge my husband who has accompanied me here today, along with my friend, Ms. Darlene Kane, who my husband's always by my side, and our daughter, Nicole D. White, who is a retired Navy veteran who served our country for 22 years. She is unable to attend today, along with our 2 beautiful granddaughters, Janaya and Kimani, and other family members are my biggest cheerleaders. I am truly honored to have been nominated by Governor Wes Moore, who I truly thank for this nomination, for the consideration for this position to sit on the Criminal Injuries Compensation Board. I appreciate the confidence of the nominating committee has placed me here. I have a great respect for the work of the CICB, and I'm enthusiastic about the opportunity to contribute to the mission of serving the citizens of Baltimore. I worked alongside tirelessly with some great people, such as Heather Warnken, Executive Director of the University of Maryland Law Center for Criminal Justice Reform, Ms. Darlene Kane of Mothers on the Move, Lydia Watts, Executive Director of ROAR organization, and other stakeholders to secure the passage of the historic Victim Compensation Reform Act of 2024. It is with great pleasure that I accept this nomination if granted. I am fully committed to fulfilling the responsibilities of this role with integrity and a listening ear to all voices that come before the CICB board with fairness in accordance with the law of the state of Maryland. Thank you all. Any questions?
Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, our next nominee is Mr. Andrew Vickery from the Economic Development Commission. Mr. Vickery does not currently reside in Maryland, so I will handle his introduction. Mr. Vickery is a graduate of Cornell University and has had a decade of experience in strategy, economic development, and entrepreneurship. He has led 5 business development teams in Amman, Jordan, New York, and Los Angeles, gaining operational expertise across diverse industries and funding stages. I believe that Mr. Vickery's proven track record and unique experience and qualification as a valuable addition to the Commission's work. Mr. Vickery, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone, and thank you to the Chair and to the entire Executive Nominations Committee. It's truly an honor to be here tonight. I'm here because of a little bit of a moment of destiny, meeting the former Chief of Staff to Governor Moore, Fagan Harris, in Patterson Park about 1.5 years ago. Where we discussed the similarities between Massachusetts, where I grew up, and Maryland, the differences as well, my 6 years of economic development work in the Middle East, my startup experience and why I was moving to LA, but also how I could eventually, how I could help in Maryland and eventually move to Maryland to support the administration. I see this very much as a stepping stone to both of those things. And I'm very much aligned in the 2 meetings I've been at so far with Secretary Coker on how to bring a $100 million plus economic development initiative to the state of Maryland during my 3-year term. I'll open it up to any questions. Thank you.
All righty, do we have, Senator Carrozza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. Mr. Vickery, thank you for your willingness to serve. The local economic development directors in the individual counties, especially in a rural area, are really important positions, and I wanted to hear your vision on working with them so that whatever we're doing as far as improving and increasing economic development in Maryland is also in the rural areas as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to tap into my colleagues on the commission. And I think once the project to be brought forward to the commission is defined, figuring out how to implement and how to localize it will be critical, which will require time on the ground, and I'm dedicated to making that effort.
Thank you. No other questions? Seeing none? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, our next nominee is for Donald Drummer for the Washington Metro Rail Safety Commission. It will be presented by Senator Augustine.
Thank you, Chair Brooks and members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Donald Drummer for appointment to the Metro Rail Safety Commission. Colleagues, Don Drummer is an exceptional leader of many years in senior executive service and also serving in the United States Army, achieving the rank of colonel. I worked closely with him when he was on the WMATA Board of Directors. Just a really thoughtful leader. He, when he was coming off the WMATA board, we actually talked on the phone and he said, you know, I want to keep serving. And I think that the place where I can do that is on the Metro Rail Safety Commission. And so I think that this is a great appointment and I just ask for your favorable support of it. And here is Mr. Drummer. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Augustine. In brevity, I am looking forward to serving and adding value in support of the state and the region. And I open myself up to questions.
Okay, do we have any questions? Well, don't see any. Well, personally, Mr. Drummer, I want to thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good, thanks.
That's very well done.
Okay, our next nominee from Morgan State University Board of Regents, Champion Ojo, Senator Augustine will be presenting.
Thank you, Chair Brooks and members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Champion Ojo, who is the nominee for Morgan State University Board of Regents. Colleagues, I am so very, very proud to be standing here with this gentleman because he is one of my scholarship recipients up to Morgan State University. Very, very pleased. He's exceptional. He has maintained a very high GPA there at Morgan State, student regent, a resident assistant. He's done a significant number of different programs representing Morgan State already, and I just believe that he is going to do a fantastic job on the Board of Regents. And so, colleagues, I ask for your favorable support of Champion. Thank you.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. As he mentioned, my name is Champion Ojo. Thank you so much to Senator Augustine for the introduction, and thank you to the chair, and thank you to every one of the members of this committee. It is a profound honor to be considered for his nomination as a student at Morgan as well as a resident at Maryland. I've seen firsthand the impact of sound governance on the student experience as a whole, and I'm very excited to continue my service at Morgan State University as well as to the state of Maryland. Now open the floor for questions.
All righty, do we have any questions for Mr. Ojo? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Okay. Our next nominee is Karen Calmes, and who's also being introduced by Senator Augustine.
Thank you, Chair Brooks and members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Karen Calmes, who is out of the 24th Legislative District, and so I'm sharing this on behalf of our great Senator Benson this evening, and she is a nominee for the Open Meetings Law Compliance Board. She is a 34-year resident of Prince George's County and a former legal advisor and legislative aide to Senator Mikulski. She is married to Dr. Michael Darden, pediatrician, solo practitioner for over 45 years in Prince George's County, and the mother of Greer and Drew Darden. Both attended Prince George's County French immersion schools. She has over 35 years of experience as an advisor and analyst in legislative and administrative law, 12 years as an administrative law judge with the District of Columbia Department of Employment Services, and 10 years as Supervision of Freedom of Information Act Program and Agency Hearing Officer for the DC Department of Transportation. Colleagues, she's very well qualified for the position. I ask for a favorable report on Ms. Calmes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I wasn't prepared with any remarks. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the honor, the Governor Moore and the committee to consider my nomination for the remainder of the term of this board. I think my work as a FOIA officer for the District of Columbia Department of Transportation makes me capable of being able to continue forward and working and serving the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Right.
Seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next nominee, Mr. Andrew White. Again, for the Open Meeting Law Compliance Board, we have Mr. Andrew White. Mr. White is a resident of Virginia, so I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing myself. Mr. White is a practicing attorney who graduated from the University of Maryland School of Law. He worked as a law clerk for the Circuit Court of Baltimore County, and he has nearly 6 years of litigation experience. He is currently an attorney with Redson and Rodstein in Greenbelt. With his legal background, I believe that Mr. White will provide valuable insight and perspective to the board. With that, Mr. White, would you please say a little about yourself?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President, as well as the rest of the members of the committee. Thank you for your time, and it's a great honor to be nominated by Governor Moore to this board. It's been a privilege to have served on the board with the past 4 months with people such as Ms. Calmes, and to perform a role which I believe is vital to ensuring public faith in the way our institutions operate. If you all have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Okay, our next nominee is for the Unemployment Insurance Fund Board, Ms. Arnica Arrington, and will be introduced by Senator Charles.
Good evening, Executive Noms Committee. For the record, I'm Senator Nick Charles, representing the Legislative District 25, and it's such an honor today. What you laughing for, fellas? It's such an honor today to be here on behalf of a phenomenal woman, someone who exudes true professionalism when it comes to anything dealing with human resources and anything dealing with employment. I'm here on behalf of Arnica Arrington for the appointment to the Uninsured Employers Fund Board. This board exists to ensure workers are covered when the companies do not have workers' comp. And Ms. Arrington, throughout her career, she has done just exactly that, provided compliance, making sure people are taken care of, oversight, fair treatment in the workplace. She currently serves as the Executive Vice President of People and Operations and Culture for Ebony and Jet, where she leads policy development, risk management, organizational compliance framework. She's previously served as the Chief People Officer of Wondros. She served as the Vice President for Revolt TV. And she's also worked with Viacom and BET, leading efforts across this country. And so when I say that I am happy to bring up someone that brings so much to the table, and someone that is doing so much work and is directly from District 25, I'm asking that you support her as a nominee and give her your support and your vote. Thank you, colleagues. Ms. Arrington.
Thank you, Senator Nick Charles. Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. I will be brief as well. I would like to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to Governor Wes Moore for the appointment to the Uninsured Employers Fund Board, and to Senator Nick Charles for his nomination and support. I am honored by the confidence they have placed in me and grateful for the opportunity to appear before you all today. I am a proud Prince Georgian, born and raised in Maryland. This community shaped me and my character, my discipline, my sense of responsibility. Everything I have built professionally started here in Maryland. I bring over 20 years of executive human resource experience and governance experience grounded in workforce strategy, compliance, and organizational accountability, and I am committed to approaching this role with integrity, diligence, and a deep respect for the responsibility entrusted in me to this board. Beyond my executive work, I serve on Prince George's County Commission for Women and Strayer University Distinguished Alumni Board. In 2024, I received an honorary doctorate for my service and was recently recognized as part of the United States Black Chamber's Power 50 Women of Influence. Those honors deepen my responsibility to lead thoughtfully and serve with integrity. I would like to also acknowledge my family and friends who are here in support of this moment. Their encouragement and belief in service make opportunities like this possible. I respectfully request your favorable confirmation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none? Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay. Okay, our next nominee is also for the Uninsured Employees Fund Board, Ms. Erica Fareed, will be introduced by Senator Augustine.
Hello. Chair Brooks and members of the committee, Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of Erica Mitchell Fareed. But I am doing it, again, she is from the 24th Legislative District, and we have been joined tonight by Delegate Andrea Harrison, who actually was a part of the nomination of Ms. Mitchell Fareed. So I definitely wanted to acknowledge her. Ms. Mitchell Fareed, who is here to us to become a part of the Uninsured Employers Fund Board, previously served on the City Council for the City of Glenarden, where she focused on strengthening government operations, expanding support for children and families, and advancing community health and safety initiatives. Now, professionally, she brings 20 years of experience in strategy, governance, and operational transformation. She's a licensed certified public accountant, and her background in financial oversight, process improvement, and system design aligns closely with the responsibilities of Uninsured Employers Fund Board. She's deeply committed to ensuring that safety net systems protect workers and their families during unforeseen circumstances, while also promoting compliance, accountability, and responsible stewardship. Colleagues, I ask for you to have a favorable report on Ms. Erica Mitchell Fareed, and here she is.
Good evening, Chair Brooks, President Ferguson, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. Thank you, Senator Augustine, for the wonderful introduction in the absence of my extraordinary senator, Senator Benson. Thank you, Delegate Harrison, for your nomination and mentorship. Thank you, Governor Moore, for his confidence in my ability. Thank you to my husband, my mother, her partner, and my family and friends. I want to especially thank my daughter, Anaya, who is my inspiration. I previously served as council member for the City of Glenarden, where I focused on strengthening government operation and improving services for residents. I'm currently a Senior Director of Strategy Implementation and Business Transformation, and in addition to being a certified public accountant, I am a Six Sigma Black Belt. I bring more than 20 years of experience in financial oversight, governance, and operational improvement. I do believe in strong safety net systems that protect workers and their families during unforeseen circumstances, while also ensuring fairness, accountability, and clear compliance structures for employers. Well-designed systems promote responsibility, reduce risk, and build trust. If confirmed, I look forward to contributing to the board's work through thoughtful oversight and responsible stewardship. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, our next nominee will be for the State Workers' Compensation Commission, Ms. Kendrick Roberts, and will be introduced by Senator Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity today to speak on the nomination of Kendrick Roberts. Mr. Roberts was recently appointed by Governor Moore to serve as a commissioner on the Maryland Workers' Compensation Commission. Mr. Roberts has a strong legal background, graduated with honors from the University of District of Columbia David A. Clark School of Law, served as an associate attorney at Berman, Sobin, Gross, LLP since 2017, where he spent the majority of his legal career advocating on behalf of injured workers. Mr. Roberts has been recognized for his professional excellence, including being named National Trial Lawyers Top 40 Under 40, National Black Lawyers Top 40 Under 40, and Super Lawyers Rising Star. Known for his thoughtful legal analysis, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to fairness and public service, Mr. Roberts carries with him extensive subject matter expertise and judicial temperament to this new role. We're excited to welcome him as one of Maryland's next or current workers' compensation commissioners. Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Senator Washington, for that kind introduction. Good evening, Chair Brooks, Vice Chair Muse, Senate President Ferguson, and distinguished members of the Executive Nomination Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I would first like to express some sincere gratitude to Governor Moore and Secretary Byron for this appointment and for the privilege of serving the citizens of Maryland. Serving as a Workers' Compensation Commissioner is a role that aligns squarely with my lifelong commitment to public service. In this capacity, I am dedicated to maintaining the integrity of the workers' compensation system and ensuring that our community is served with the highest standards of fairness and impartiality. Throughout my legal career, it has been an honor to collaborate with employees, employers, and fellow attorneys while litigating cases before both the Commission and in our appellate courts. If confirmed, I will bring this same steadfast dedication and commitment to equity to my work on the bench. I am joined today by a host of friends and family. I would also like to take a moment to thank my mom, who flew up from the Virgin Islands to be here today. And I have the support of the current commissioners, and I stand ready to serve the people of Maryland in this new capacity. And I will take any questions if the committee has any.
Senator Carrozza?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was looking at your resume and noticed that you were a clerk for Judge Massarello in Wycomico County, and he's someone that I have the utmost respect and wanted to acknowledge that.
Awesome. I actually talked to, he was gonna be here today, but they got a lot more snow in Salisbury than we did, so.
Yes, I'm lucky to be back. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. So the next nominee is a constituent of the chair, Senator Brooks, and this is for the Maryland Venture Fund Authority, Mr. Russell Michael Clark, presented by Senator Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, for the record, I'm Senator Brooks, representing the 10th Legislative District in Baltimore County. I'm pleased to introduce Russell M. Clark, appointee for a member of the Maryland Venture Fund Authority. With over 30 years of experience spanning multiple industries, including information technology, interactive software, and management consulting, he brings a strong understanding of economic development and the role that strategic investment plays in supporting innovations and business growth across Maryland. His experience and perspective will be a valuable asset to the authority as it works to advance entrepreneurship and access to capital throughout the state. I introduce Mr. Clark. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, neighbor, Chairman Brooks, President Ferguson, and the rest of the esteemed senators that are present. As Chairman said, I've been a longstanding a member of the business community, having exited my first startup in the late 90s, don't date me, to Walt Disney Company. And I founded my own management consultancy in 2003, Luminous Consulting Group. I have been active particularly in the tech and the startup community in Baltimore and the surrounding counties of the state for many years as a founding member of Next Gen Venture Partners, which is now, which has been acquired by Brown Advisory. I have also participated with the Emerging Technology Center as well as the Howard County Incubator and have supported TEDCO as an advisor for many years. I appreciate the honor and the opportunity of this nomination, and I'd also like to thank Jennifer Wiggs for being present, my future, for being here with me today, and I am open to any questions.
Thank you. Colleagues, any questions for this nominee? Hearing none, thank you so much for your testimony, and we'll move to the next. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. PPT. All right, our next nominee is for the Washington Suburban Transit Commission, and Jared Stolfus, and Senator Augustine will be doing the introduction.
Thank you, Chair Brooks, members of the committee. Senator Malcolm Augustine here on behalf of my constituent, Jared Stolfus, for the position of member of the Washington Suburban Transit Commission. Jared is a very good friend. He's a former council member in the city of Mount Rainier, where we work together, and where he actually also has just been a transportation professional for over 20 years. And he really has been able to actually bring home federal dollars to our community, and I've really been very grateful for that. He has also been an advisor to me over the years as it relates to WMATA, which is really what you are when you're on the WSTC board. You're really on the WMATA board. He'll do an excellent job based on all the experience that he has, and I just ask for your favorable report on Jared. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm honored to be here tonight, and I'll be brief. Thank you to Senator Augustine for consideration, Senate President, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Executive Committee. I'm grateful for Governor Moore for the opportunity to serve on the WSTC as the Commissioner from Prince George's County. Someone that's not only worked in public transit for their entire career, been a lifetime user, I know how important this role is to the state of Maryland. I look forward to serving in this role if confirmed, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Okay. All right, our next nominee for the same board will be Leslie Ford Weber, and Senator Love will do the introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. President, good evening, colleagues. Senator Sarah Love, District 16, Montgomery County. Here, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Leslie Ford Weber. I've known Leslie for quite a while now and have long been impressed with her knowledge of our community and our issues. From her work on Suburban Hospital, I have seen her bring people together to advocate for a vital institution. Similar to our hospital, our transit system, it needs a smart and dedicated person like Leslie working to bring people together to move us forward. And on a personal note, Leslie and I share connections to a small town in Michigan. So I know that she brings that Midwestern strength and tenacity to her work, and she will bring it to the board, or to the commission as well. Thank you, and I ask for your favorable vote on Leslie Ford Weber.
Thank you, Senator Love. Things in Maryland look a little like those towns in Michigan right now with all the snow. Mr. Chair, Mr. Senate President, and members of the committee, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. But first, a couple of thank yous. I want to thank Governor Moore for this opportunity to serve the people of Maryland and to help them and our visitors explore our region safely and efficiently. Most importantly, I want to thank my husband, Mike, who's here tonight, for his support. When we met, I was living car-free in the District of Columbia and using Metrobus and Metro Rail to get around. He was a daily rider from Wheaton to his job. We chose our neighborhood in District 16 because of its proximity to the Red Line. Transit is so important to connecting employees with jobs, students to education, to helping tourists visit our museums and our monuments, and even to helping all of us participate in democratic activities, whether that's a parade or a protest. So I look forward to this opportunity to serve, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next nominee will be Sean Schaefer from District 12. Unfortunately, Senator Jennings could not be here at this time, so I'll ask Mr. Schaefer to introduce himself to the committee.
Sean Schaefer. Right now, I currently have an intern position with the Maryland Appraisers and Appraisal Management Company and Inspectors. Been doing this for 30 years as an appraiser, own my own AMC for the last 25 years, and basically was brought on as at the very beginning to give some insight with the Appraisal Management Company and the empty seat, which I'm fulfilling at this point for the last 7 months.
Do we have any? Yes, Senator Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Schaefer, would it surprise you that given the frequency and numerous high-profile reports of racial bias in appraisals here in the state of Maryland, that in the last 10 years, the commission for which you're being nominated to serve has not sustained not a single case here in the state of Maryland?
My experience with being on the board right now, I know we're implementing some more continuing education classes. But again, I've been in here for 6 months and that issue hasn't came up currently.
Yeah, this is an issue that's near and dear to me, and as several Marylanders have been robbed from one of the greatest wealth that they could acquire here in this nation, including one of our colleagues whose appraisal was shorted $300,000. And so as you serve on this commission, I would ask, especially given the failure to this commission to address head-on these issues of racial disparity here in our state, that recognizing that the acquisition of a home is probably one of the single greatest assets that one could have, that there be fairness applied in this endeavor. I'm sure in your experience as an appraiser here in the state that you may have encountered situations where allegations as such may have been made. I just ask that if you, as you serve and get to know more about this board and your service, that you would give serious and fair consideration as those issues are brought to be adjudicated before your commission.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I think there's some implementations through the banks themselves with the different reporting for SSRs, which is basically information that's gathered from all appraisals done. So at that point, then there's a little bit more accountability for the appraiser himself. And for any complaints with that, that would actually go through the board. So that would be something that we would review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, our next nominee is Ms. Roxanne Austin for the State Real Estate Commission. Unfortunately, you can come on up. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, Senator Ellis could not be with here tonight, so I'll introduce Ms. Roxanne Austin to the committee. And Ms. Austin, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Roxanne Alston. I am a Vice President of Customer Relations. I work with the National Council of Architectural Registration Boards. I'm very used to the built environment and working with state governments. I've been serving with the Maryland Real Estate Commission since June of 2025. Would you like to know more? I'm a talker, so I promised myself I would keep it brief. So I wrote my notes so that I wouldn't talk on. So I'd like to say greetings, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. President, and Nomination Committee. Thank you, Senator, for the introduction, which the Senator's not here right now, but thank you very much for allowing me to introduce myself. And thank you to my family and to my friends for being here today for me. Their support means more to me than I can ever fully express to you. I'm truly honored and deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve my neighbors, my community, and the great state of Maryland as a member of the Maryland Real Estate Commission. This has truly been an exciting opportunity. I look forward to working diligently, upholding the highest standards of integrity and professionalism, and contributing in a meaningful way to our real estate community and the people we serve. I'm grateful to Governor Moore for this commission nomination and appointment, and I'm open for questions if you have any for me.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Seeing none? Thank you, Ms. Austin.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Goody Bunday. All right, our next nominee for the Maryland Parole Commission, Ms. Goody Bunday.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My pleasure to introduce Ms. Gayatri Gudibunde, who I had the pleasure of sitting down with last week and was incredibly impressive, came to the parole board by a recommendation because of her work that she's been on both sides of the aisle. She's worked in both the state's attorney's office and the public defender's office, so she's seen both sides of the criminal justice coin. And she was recommended and applied independently. And as we know, the parole board is often one that you have to know somebody to kind of get into the queue, and that was not the case here. There was such high regard for her thoughtfulness and her ability to evaluate and assess cases that she was brought in independently and had an excellent conversation and strongly endorsed her recommendation for the parole board.
Thank you, President Ferguson, for that introduction. Good evening, Chairman Brooks and members of the Executive Nominations Committee. It is my pleasure to be in front of this committee and an honor to be considered for this appointment. I have had the privilege of working with both the victims as well as incarcerated individuals during my time at the State's Attorney's Office as well as the Public Defender's Office, and I'm excited to bring that depth of experience to the Parole Commission. I also want to give thanks to Governor Moore, Secretary Carolyn Scruggs, and Secretary Byron. I also want to thank my husband, who is here today, as well as Commissioner Smack, McAllister, Lyles, and Chairman Ely, who have all come to support us. And I'm looking forward to continuing my work alongside Chairman Ely and the members of the Parole Commission. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions? Yes, Senator Carosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you for serving on this parole commission because it's hard work, and I have some of my experience with this is John Dale Smack from Worcester County has told me about the workload over the years and that working with you, and again, I just appreciate the fact that you are willing to serve on this commission. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next nominee, Mr. Roderick Wellington for the Maryland Parole Commission, will be introduced by Senator Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Alonzo Washington here. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce my constituent, Dr. Roderick Wellington, to serve on the Maryland Parole Commission. Just a point of personal privilege, I would like to recognize former County Councilman at Large, Calvin Hawkins, who's here, and a good friend. You can clap for him, my man. Yeah, and he's a good friend of Dr. Roderick. And when Dr. Roderick and I met early last week, he mentioned that he was working on Calvin's campaign against me for county executive, but I've forgiven him since then. So that's why we're here today. Dr. Wellington is an accomplished self-directed executive consultant with more than 25 years of experience in the social services and mental health fields, and 30 years of experience in office administration. Most notably, he was the director of behavioral health with the DC Department of Corrections and senior advisor to the Prince George's County Health and Human Services Deputy Director. Not only was he a clinical supervisor for the Maryland Department of Health, he also has a doctorate in counseling psychology from the University of Auguste University. He's already enjoying his role as acting commissioner on the Parole Commission, and his wealth of experience is notable on the commission. And with that, I'll introduce and turn it right over to Dr. Wellington.
Thank you very much there, Senator Washington. Chairman, I'd also like to note that Commissioner Gunabandi has yielded back 30 seconds of her time to me. Good evening, Chairman Brooks, Vice Chair Muse, my humble sponsor as well in his absence. Also, President Ferguson, pleasure to meet you as well, sir, and members of the committee. I want to thank everyone tonight for being here. My students from Bowie State University Master's Program that's normally in class on Monday night decided that they would come out and support me today, and I thank you. Appreciate that. Also, I wanted to thank to thank my family and friends. My brother, David Wellington, is here, 80 years old, who also came out and drove himself here. I have 3 best friends here tonight: Sonia Wellborn, Calvin Hawkins, Carlos Reynolds, Archie Ragland. Thank you all for being here. It's just an honor and a privilege to have a United States military Navy veteran that's here, that we were friends 40 years in the military. But again, I would like to also thank Chairman Ely, Ernest Ely, of the Maryland Parole Commission, who has been instrumental in this entire process, who is in attendance as well tonight. Thank you, Chairman Ely. And also along with Commissioner Smack, Commissioner McAllister, and Commissioner Lyles, all who have been so supportive of me in these last 8 months on the Parole Commission. I want to thank them. Chairman Brooks, one of our noted authors of our time once stated that the 2 most important days in one's life is the day that they're born, and the second is the day in which they find out why. Mark Twain, I know my why. The second noted is added to that noteworthy theory was Dr. Martin Luther King, who also stated that everyone can be great, you just have to serve. And that's what I've committed my adult life in serving. As a young man joining the United States military, United States Navy, over 15 years of service, and coming home to pursue my graduate program and doctorate program in mental health counseling, and to now, full circle, be on the Maryland Parole Commission, where behavior modification is our ultimate goal. And so I'm here because of that, and because of the trajectory of my life. Being born in Washington, D.C. native, and now serving the DMV as well. So at this point, lastly, I'm humbled and deeply appreciative to Governor Westmore, Secretary Scruggs, Secretary Byron, for having the faith in me to take on this mission. Again, thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
All right, do we have any questions? Senator Carroza?
Thank you. I just wanted to be brief. I think it says a lot that the chair of the commission and the commissioners are here tonight, and that one of the commissioners, my friend and colleague Dale Smack, made a point to text ahead of time and say that both the nominees bring sound, opinion-minded opinions to the commission. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that on the record.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, and Mr. Wellington, I want to thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for your desire to continue to serve, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.
Appreciate you.
All right. Okay. Yeah, okay. For the members, I just want to alert you that we will not be convening next week. So I'm sure you will be happy about that, but we will be coming back on March 9th. So, yes, yeah. Alrighty. Okay. Okay, all right. Well, this concludes the public hearing for tonight. So can I get a motion for voting? Oh, yeah, the chair recognizes the Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request to put a hold on nominee number 2. Specifically, the Baltimore City delegation, but really I would say the region requests a fuller plan for the regional investments for transportation system, and sent a letter to the transportation secretary ahead of time. Was expecting a more robust response than was provided today, which was not a response at all. And so we'd like to follow up to have additional conversations, and so we'd like to hold the nominated secretary number 2 until a later date.
Okay, sure. All right. Yes, the chair recognizes Senator Bidle.
Thank you. Move for a favorable recommendation on nominees identified on tonight's agenda, numbers 1 through 27, S1 through S28, and L1 through L23, except for number 5 and number 2.
All righty. All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Okay, thank you. Any opposed? All right, now can I get a motion to adjourn? Thank you.